Well, I'm not the one arguing that. Apparently you are, because you don't like the fact that they're white, and that's why they're coming.
I'm just asking you to say that would be unacceptable.
Well, no, I would say that the United States...
a very easy thing to say.
The United States has a right to pick and choose who they allow into the United States.
Even based on the color of somebody's skin.
You're the one that's talking about the color of their skin, not me. These
are
people whose farms were being burned down and they were killed because of the color of their skin.
The moment Marco Rubio calls out this double standard, this conversation immediately hits differently, guys.
Mr. Secretary, I want to ask you about the program. It's the United States Refugee Assistance Program, and this is a program that state is the manager of, but together with other cabinet secretariats, DHS and HHS, state plays the lead management role, and it is how to manage the U.S. refugee assistance programs in tandem with contractors who help the United States on that. By an executive order on the first day of his presidency, President Trump paused all refugee programs and has canceled contracts to the agencies like the U.S. Catholic Church or Lutheran Refugee Services or HIAS or Church World Services who've been resettling refugees. Those programs are paused. There's litigation about it, but as far as I know, the United States is not, or the administration has not withdrawn the executive order. So there's essentially from this administration no refugee programs for anyone except. In early February, the president announced a special refugee program for Afrikaner farmers, justified, A, by some concerns about South Africa and foreign policy, but B, a claim that these were persecuted individuals. So right now, the U.S. refugee program allows a special program for Afrikaner farmers, the first group of whom arrived at Dulles Airport in Virginia not long ago, while shutting off the refugee program for everyone else. Do you think Afrikaner farmers are the most persecuted group in the world?
I think those 49 people that came certainly felt they were persecuted, and they passed every sort of check mark that had to be checked off in terms of meeting the requirements for that. They live in a country where farms are taken and land is taken on a racial basis.
Okay. Do you think they're more persecuted than Uyghurs or Rohingyas, or more persecuted than political dissidents in Cuba or Venezuela or Nicaragua, or more persecuted than those who would be threatened should they be returned to Afghanistan by violence by the Taliban?
Well, the problem we face there is the volume problem, okay? If you look at all the persecuted people of the world, it's millions of people. They can't all come here. And we had refugee programs.
So why prioritize Afrikaner farmers?
Well, because it's a small subset, it's a new issue, and the president identified it as a problem and wanted to use it as an example. But that's different from having these refugee programs that were basically spending money to put people up in communities and accommodate them, and it was acting as a magnet. Millions of people in this country illegally, and today the border is sealed.
Let me challenge you, and I'm just going to say for the public, if you want to understand about the, quote, persecution of Afrikaner farmers, go look at the composition of the South African government. Since July of 2024, there's a government of national unity, and the opposition party to the ANC, the Afrikaner Party, the Democracy Alliance, is part of the governing coalition. They joined the governing coalition a year ago, and the leader of that party was given the remit of Agriculture Minister, John Steenhuisen. He is the leader of the former Afrikaner Party, still widely representing Afrikaners. He is the Minister of Agriculture in South Africa right now. I assert that this claim that there's persecution of Afrikaner farmers is completely specious. Are you aware ever during the apartheid era in South Africa, did the United States establish a special program to allow South African blacks who were treated as second-class citizens in the apartheid program, a special program so they could claim refugee status in the United States?
No, because I was probably in 9th grade or 8th grade at the time.
Well, then I don't expect you to know. I'll just tell you, never.
Let's break this down into a couple of issues here, because there is definitely a lot being said that needs to be touched on. So let's start with the idea of refugees and refugees coming to the United States of America. I think if we have the ability to help, we should definitely help, but it should definitely be limited to smaller numbers. There are other safe countries on this planet here. Okay, we do not need to take the world's population, number one here. And if we do allow refugees to come into the United States of America, we should definitely, in fact, not allow them to create enclaves in certain places. We don't need a little South Africa, if that makes any sense, right? Everything needs to be, for the most part, spread out so they can assimilate to our culture, not create enclaves. But now the elephant in the room here. So let me attempt to put myself into the mind of a political leader here. and specifically one running a country similar to the United States of America. Obviously, if you're getting all of these, conversations about how you may be, I don't know, anti whatever, right? It's going to ruffle some feathers. But also at the same time, Trump absolutely likes ruffling feathers. So, take that how you want to take that one there, right? But now, I've always kind of stood on this here. When you allow people into your country, they should have the ability to almost immediately assimilate to your culture here. And people who exist within Western cultures generally have the ability to assimilate faster to Western cultures. So taking someone from Rwanda, for example, that's a completely different argument here, because what are the chances that they're going to immediately be able to assimilate into our culture, right? And again, there are other safe places around the world here. We have enough independent, small group enclaves around the United States of America. Do we in fact need more? So the more that this even exists, the faster what made them want to come here, for the most part, gets eroded.
We've allowed special programs for people being persecuted for their religion, Soviet-era Jews. We've allowed special programs for people fleeing from communism, Cuba, Vietnam, the Soviet Union. We've never allowed a special program to allow Africans into the United States in an expedited refugee status until now. Afrikaner farmers living in a nation governed by a government of national unity that includes the main Afrikaner party. And actually, an even more right-wing Afrikaner party is also included in the coalition government. Now, would you agree with me, Mr. Secretary, that if we're interpreting the statutory phrase, a well-justified fear of persecution, we should try to do that in an even-handed way?
I think we should try to do that in the interest of the national security of the United States.
So okay, I agree with you too. We should. Should we try to do it in an even-handed way? So for example, should we say, if you're persecuted on the grounds of your religion, we'll let you in if you're a Christian, but not if you're a Muslim?
I think that the United States has a right to allow into this country and prioritize allowance of who they want to allow to come in. But I think there's
but I'm going to ask you, so a well-justified fear of persecution?
Yeah, they thought that their farms were being burned down and they would be killed. I think that's a pretty good justification for wanting to come. They're afraid for their lives.
And should it be applied in an even-handed way? That's an easy.
No, our foreign policy doesn't require even-handedness. It requires prioritizing the interests of the United States.
The statutory phrase says you are entitled to entrance as a refugee if you demonstrate a well-justified fear of persecution.
No, you're not entitled.
So
you're
can
allowed.
You have a different standard based upon the color of somebody's skin? Would that be acceptable?
Well, I'm not the one arguing that. Apparently you are, because you don't like the fact that they're white, and that's why they're coming.
I'm just asking you to say that would be unacceptable.
Well, no, I would say that the United States,
a very easy thing to say.
The United States has a right to pick and choose who they allow into the United States.
Even based on the color of somebody's skin.
You're the one that's talking about the color of their skin, not me. These are people whose farms were being burned down and they were killed because of the color of their skin.
Well,
Well, you've demonstrated enough, because you think anyone should be allowed into this country for any reason because they met a certain criteria.
Who has said that?
We are going to prioritize people that come into our country on the basis of what's in the interest of this country. That's a small number of people that are coming.
But you said this weekend that there would be more.
But in other cases, it's harder to vet. In other cases, it's more difficult. And by the way, the United States admits people every year. 1 million people come to this country every year legally. 1 million
and
people
now
a year come to this
there
country
is one
legally.
group of people that have an easy pass into this country. For the first time, this administration has said Afrikaners get an easy pass and refugee programs for the remainder of the world are shut off. And you can't say to the American public that we should apply this statute in an even-handed way.
No, I think it should be applied in a way.
No,
you shouldn't be shocked. It should be applied in the national interest of the United States. Our immigration policy should be based on the national interest of the United States, period. End of story. If there is a subset of people that are easier to vet, who we have a better understanding of who they are and what they're going to do when they come here, they're going to receive preference, no doubt about it. There are a lot of sad stories around the world. Millions and millions of people around the world. It's heartbreaking. We cannot assume millions and millions of people around the world. No country can. So you have to have a process of deciding who do you prioritize, who do you allow in. We do it all the time. We do it in our immigration system now under our current laws. Unfortunately, it's primarily based on family connection and not on what they're going to contribute to the society from a merit standpoint. That should be changed, but that'll require statutory changes. But the bottom line is, this notion that somehow we have to accept anyone who wants to come to the United States is absurd.
Like, in fact, if you're coming from a country that is very, I don't know, papered, let's say this here, meaning that we actually have the ability to basically give background checks and find out exactly who you are, who you've been, let's say this year, and we can kind of forecast who you will be. I'm pretty sure that's pretty much the easy, fast track into the United States of America here. But if you are coming from a place that is, I don't know, historically lawless, or they rampant with civil wars, etc., what do we think when we see that? So even recently here, I did a video yesterday, I think it was here, regarding Tim Walz and Somalia, where we're seeing this gigantic issue here with people utilizing like entitlements, but not really technically offering anything to the United States of America. Like, when can we get to the point where we're no longer just handing things out because people exist here, guys? We need to start looking at things in terms of ROI, return on investment here. So if we're going to pull some people, right, from the Central African Republic, okay, and we know factually the level of education in CAR, right, is not specifically amazing. What are they technically, guys? What are they going to offer to the United States of America? Okay, that may sound super harsh, but what exactly are they going to offer to us? Or are we just, like, out of the kindness of our heart saying, don't worry, we'll go ahead and take care of the entirety of the world's population? This is not acceptable, guys. I mean, I try to always logic things out here and kind of remove all victim emotions from the conversation here and just look at it for what it is here. America is America because of what America has been. That's it here. Like, I mean, if we consistently kind of like move the goal line, let's say, on what America will be, let's say this year, based off of the influx of other cultures coming in, right, from legitimately failed countries here. Now, understand what I'm saying this here. I'm not saying this in like a derogatory term here, guys. If their country was winning, they would not be coming here. Does that make any sense here? Again, no feelings here, just straight logic. And so with that being said here, why would we give up on what made the United States of America for the sole purpose of appeasing people's feelings here, right? Where will America be in 100 years if we maintain like a gigantic influx of people who have massively different cultures and refuse to assimilate or even learn our language? How does that benefit the United States of America, guys? It makes you feel good, right? I mean, black square activism type of thing, right? It makes you feel good, but what's the actual benefit? I get it. I mean, listen, being able to order food from a different culture is cool, right? But what is it offering us, right? Like, there needs to be some type of like test or something before you can come in here, bro. Like, we need to make sure that you actually have the ability to not stay on government assistance for the entirety of your life, bro. You have to make sure you're going to offer us something. We're saving your life. Offer us something, guys. The return on investment needs to be solid, and as of right now, it doesn't really look like it, guys. Because again, we have enclaves of communities that when you drive down the street, none of the signs are in English, guys. All right. What I don't want to. If I wanted to move to your country, I would have. No offense, guys. I'm telling you, and I am someone who is not ignorant in the terms of travel. I've been to 140 countries, guys. I've been around the world for real. Okay. So I have no issue with other cultures, but just understand this to the depth of me here. If I wanted to move to your country, I would have. But either way, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. If you guys are new here, please like and subscribe. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and catch you guys later.